Metcalf and Jesse Owens.
Sam Stoller and Marty Glickman were the only Jewish members of the U.S. athletics track and field team, and this was their only event.
And they were particularly fired up because they wanted to win a gold medal as Jewish athletes and make Hitler and Goebbels and the other Nazis watch two young Jewish men defeat the German team.
And at the last minute, the U.S. coaches dropped Stoller and Glickman and replaced them with Jesse Owens and Ralph Metcalf. The American coaches didn't want to offend the Nazis.
The legend that has been passed down through the generations is that in that meeting, Jesse Owens stood up and said, "Coach, you should let Marty and Sam run," and that he was told to sit down and shut up.
There was a lot of anticipation. Would Jesse Owens win a fourth gold medal?
Yeah, I never won 4 gold medals, but I can tell you, in winning just a medal, it is difficult. And to win 4, that is extremely difficult.
Oh, I think it's one of the great achievements in the history of sports and athletics. Here, this young black American comes and defeats all the Aryan athletes.
He was a beacon at a time of great darkness. As the storm clouds were gathering, here was a ray of light.
His life changed almost overnight, and suddenly he was getting cables sent to him by people in Hollywood saying, "We want to make a movie with you, we're going to turn you into a superstar." But at the same time, the athletics union, his own athletics union, wanted to capitalize on his success.
He sent around Europe on this tour before the Olympics had even ended to raise money for the U.S. sports machine.
Jesse felt a bit like he was being turned into a performing seal and just begged for some time off.
Brundage kicked him straight out of the AAU, which means that Jesse can no longer appear as an amateur athlete.
9 days after Jesse Owens had won his 4th gold medal, Brundage and the AAU decided that Jesse Owens was finished as an athlete.
Why was he banned? After he won 4 gold medals for the U.S. and defiled Hitler's idea of the Aryan race.
I found some sort of newspaper interviews where they were saying he was becoming a bit uppity. And that word always implies, is said often by white people when they feel black people are starting to succeed.
Normally when athletes win 4 gold medals in a single Olympic Games, they are made for life. That is not the case with Jesse.
And they didn't treat him any better than any other African-American in many ways. Well, they had a parade for him.
Remember, I just turned 13 years old, and he was sitting on the back of this big open car. He looked down and winked and said, "Hi, kids, how are you?" We thought this was the greatest thing in the world, that our idol had actually spoken to us.
He came back, he had to do certain things that the white athlete didn't have to do to support his family.
In the year of this iconic achievement, winning 4 gold medals at the Berlin Olympics, the year ends with Jesse in Havana, Cuba, and he's up against a horse. And this was so demeaning for him.
He did because he needed money. He had 3 young daughters. His wife, Ruth, she detested that, and I did too. I mean, can you picture anyone else, not of color, running against a horse?
He went into debt. He had a really hard time, and then he started giving speeches. Jesse Owens finally found his place as a professional good example, and that was how he was able to support himself. And that whole image of him as you know, the good Negro worked.
I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. There are things that are more important than representing the stars and stripes at the Olympic Games.
This is a subject that I don't like to discuss.
We want to vote.
Politics has no part to play on the field of strife of competition.
We want to be able to ride on the bus anywhere that there's a vacancy.
I'm not going to get angry with him about his way of thinking. And don't get angry with me.
Well, Jesse Owens, you got to remember, he comes from an entirely different time and place than the black activist athletes of the 1960s.
It became quite easy for Jesse Owens to be seen as a symbol of black conservatism.
In 1968, he was opposed to the movement that maybe there should be a black boycott of the Olympics because of racial policies in the United States.
Jesse, he told me personally, he said, Herb, the Olympic Committee, they're asking me to talk to them. And I said, well, you're not a civil rights activist. And if you go down there and talk to them, they're going to call you an Uncle Tom. And surely they did.
The demonstrations at the podium in Mexico City was simply the most iconic and dramatic statement of awakening and change relative to black athletes in this country.
Avery Brundage was going to do the same thing to me, and Carlos said he did to Jesse Owens back in '36, was ban us from running any further international competition. That was his way of showing the power, and you don't do what I don't tell you, boy.
We fight battles on battlefields. And Mexico City was the wrong battlefield on which to fight that battle.
He wrote a book entitled Black Think, which was his autobiography, where he really chastised me about my militancy. But by 1972, he wrote another book entitled I Have Changed. And in that book, he said something stronger than I ever said, which was this, and I quote, any black person in 1970 who is not a militant is either hopelessly naive or a coward.
People like Muhammad Ali certainly acknowledge what Joe Louis and Jesse Owens did. They had to take the first steps, and they were the hardest steps.
If we were to consider merely what he did as an athlete, to do it in a country where he was officially something less than a human being, to come home to a country in which he was a second-class citizen, and then to use those victories and those achievements to advance the cause of racial justice, the totality of Jesse Owens' achievements are singular.
One of the things that I regret is labeling Jesse Owens and Uncle Tom. From the ripe, old perspective of a 73-year-old man, I'm older now than Jesse Owens was when he died. I think that Jesse Owens was one of the great warrior athletes of the 20th century, and he should be remembered and respected as such.
If it hadn't been for black athletes before me and during my time that had broken the ground, this whole life, our whole social life in which we live, has changed tremendously simply because people have put something into it. And if you don't put money in the bank, you can't draw interest. And I feel that those before me, and even during my time, we put money in the bank, that the youngsters can draw the interest today.